This is a Mayan depiction of the flat Earth with a firmament up above it. And I've gotta say, I love how they include the ice wall in the background there. It is simply just amazing what kinds of stuff the ancients knew about.
That is interesting. How did they know about that?
Well, when we look at the similarities in ancient iconography throughout the world, they give us some strong indicators that the ancients were world travelers who knew far more about the world we live in than many people today give them credit for.
They definitely weren't a bunch of stupid cavemen, like we see all the time in the media.
I think you can thank manifest destiny for that. It was this strong belief where people of European descent viewed themselves as superior to everyone else. They believed they had the right to rule, and it was their divine calling to tame the world.
Basic battle tactics, right? If someone wants to sell a war, they don't want people empathizing with the enemy. So they try to smear them as much as possible with all the propaganda they can.
And when evidence popped up showing that the ancients were sophisticated and advanced, that kind of information got swept under the rug. We were the first people to travel the world, not them! That is preposterous! The evidence is there, though. The ancients were far more intelligent, educated, and civilized than many people today give them credit for.
So concerning the firmament, last time we talked about it, we mentioned how we were able to detect it by throwing nukes at it. This has many people asking, are there any other ways we can detect the firmament?
Absolutely, absolutely. Just like throwing a water balloon at a glass window is not the only way to detect the glass window. We can't do it with sound though, because the atmosphere up there is so thin. But we can detect the firmament using radio waves. Let me tell you a little about something called sky waves. Globe Earthers claim they are caused by bouncing radio waves off the Earth's ionosphere.
But don't they claim the ionosphere is really, really thin?
Yes, they do. They claim it is so thin it can't burn anything, even though its temperature is really high.
Except for the meteors that pass through it, right?
That is one of the many globe Earth contradictions. Okay, so sound waves and radio waves. They are both waves, they just travel at different frequencies. So for illustrative purposes, let's compare the way sound would bounce off of some hardwood panels as compared to some soft curtains. Obviously, the sound is going to reflect better off of the hardwood panels. But why? Here's a sound wave heading toward a wall. Now it is hitting that wall, resonating and bouncing back. Now here's a sound wave being thrown at a curtain. How do you think that'll look when it comes back at us?
It kind of reminds me of the way light reflects off of choppy water. When it's all mixed up, you don't see a clear reflected image.
Light is a wave.
Which means we can compare it to a reflection. An echo is like a reflected image, but with sound.
Does sound also obey the same laws of reflection like light? What do you think? The answer's yes.
So when that sound hits these curtains, it's not a smooth surface for it to bounce off of. So the curtains will disrupt the sound, sending it in all kinds of directions. And because they are nowhere near as dense as the wood, more of that sound is going to pass through them and get absorbed by the fibers, in comparison to the hardwood, which will reflect sound waves really well.
So here, the sound comes back. Why it sounds like a bird? Don't ask me that, because we don't know. But this is really impressive. Experts from different countries, experts in acoustics, have come here to study, to try to know how this is possible. They leave the country just like they.
And it works all four sides the same.
Used to be. Now only two. Yeah, the north and the west. You see?
The sound is coming back different because the pyramid is not a smooth surface. The surface varies. It's closer to you on the bottom and farther away at the top. All of the steps and texture factor into the way it sounds.
Okay, So here's a really sparse ionosphere. How reflective do you think those particles are going to be?
Nowhere near as reflective as a pyramid, that is for sure. But in a similar way, some of those particles are going to be closer to the ground than other ones. Especially when the ionosphere is said to extend for about 600 miles. I'm just imagining the top of that pyramid being 600 miles away. If you were to try and bounce radio waves off of particles that far apart, that would create an extremely disrupted signal, if it is detectable at all.
Yet they claim ham radios are able to work by bouncing radio waves off of the ionosphere, and you're able to get a clear enough signal to be able to recognize someone's voice. They even claim you can bounce TV signals off of the ionosphere and be able to get clear enough signals to be able to recognize someone's face. Take notice of how it says here that a distant VHF, FM, or TV station can sometimes be received as clearly as a local station. That is a pretty darn good reflection.
Yeah, it makes no sense on the globe model, but it makes perfect sense with a solid surface.
This message has been brought to you by the Flat Earth Institute of Science. Thank you all for watching.